Is time travel possible? Time travel back into the past or forward into the future is the stuff of science fiction and always has been. There are many TV shows and movies dedicated to time travel, and it's so interesting to try and understand the possibilities. So, time travel naturally all starts with time. We know that time exists as we created it, as we know that things have been happening since, the dawn of time. Ever since the universe was created, the time has been happening, and everything that has come before us up to this very present day is because of time. We all travel in time. We travel 1 year in time between birthdays, for example. And we are all traveling in time at approximately the same speed, 1 second per second. NASA space telescopes also give us a way to look back in time. Telescopes help us to see stars and galaxies that are very far away. It takes a long time for the light from faraway galaxies to reach us. So, when we look into the sky with the telescope, we are seeing what those stars and galaxies looked like a very long time ago. However, when we think of the phrase time travel, we are usually thinking of traveling faster than 1 second per second. That kind of time travel sounds like something you'd only see in movies or science fiction books. Could it be real? Science says yes. How do we know that time travel is possible? More than 100 years ago, a famous scientist named Albert Einstein came up with an idea about how time works. He called it relativity. This theory says that time and space are linked together. Einstein also said our universe has a speed limit. Nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. The speed of light is 1,86,000 miles per second. Einstein's theory of relativity says that space and time are linked together. What does this mean for time travel? Well, according to this theory, the faster you travel, the slower you experience time. Scientists have done some experiments to show that this is true. For example, there was an experiment that used two clocks set to the exact same time. One clock stayed on Earth while the other flew in an airplane. After the plane flew around the world in the same direction Earth rotates, scientists compared the two clocks. The clock on the fast-moving airplane was slightly behind the clock on the ground. So, the clock on the airplane was traveling slightly slower in time than 1 second per second. Can we use time travel in everyday life? We can't use a time machine to travel hundreds of years into the past or future. That kind of time travel only happens in books and movies. But the math of time travel does affect the things we use every day. For example, we use GPS satellites to help us figure out how to get to new places. NASA scientists also use a high accuracy version of GPS to keep track of where satellites are in space. But did you know that GPS relies on time travel calculations to help you get around town? GPS satellites orbit around Earth very quickly at about 8,700 miles per hour, that is 14,000 kilometers per hour. This slows down GPS satellite clocks by a small fraction of a second. Einstein's theory also says that gravity curves space and time, causing the passage of time to slow down. High up where the satellites orbit, Earth's gravity is much weaker. This causes the clocks on GPS satellites to run faster than clocks on the ground. The combined result is that the clocks on GPS satellites experience time at a rate slightly faster than 1 second per second. Luckily, scientists can use math to correct these differences in time. If scientists didn't correct the GPS clocks, there would be big problems. GPS satellites wouldn't be able to correctly calculate their position of years. The errors would add up to a few miles each day, which is a big deal. GPS maps might think your home is now here near where it actually is. The big question is, can we travel back through time to events that have already happened, or can we travel forward through time to events that have not happened yet? That has always been a great wonder. The answer is we do not know, and there has been no evidence ever to prove traveling back or forward in time. One of the greatest and most famous physicists, Stephen Hawking, who is a master on the subject, believes that it's almost impossible to travel back in time. It makes sense when you think about it. It's in the past and it has already happened. How could you go back? So we can prank time travel back in time. It's likely to never happen. Hawking's theory is that if we discover how to travel really fast, up to even half the speed of the light, in a specially made train around the world for a period of time of about 100 years into the future, or about a week in real time for the passengers on board, the passengers after a week of really fast travel would end up 100 years into the future from when the train first took off. It's possible in theory, and it would be fascinating one day to see. However, this is also only a theory. Finally, time travel is real or not? Yes, time travel is indeed a real thing, but it's not quite what you have probably seen in movies. Under certain conditions, it is possible to experience time passing at a different rate than 1 second per second. And there are important reasons why we need to understand this real world form of time travel.